If you believe that respect doesn't come from money, but from how we rise when we're looked down upon, hit like and subscribe now so you won't miss more powerful stories of justice like this one. Palm Grove, one of the most luxurious estates in the Palm Beach coastal region, where the sun glistens off polished stone tiles like mirrors and the sound of water from marble fountains fills the air like a symphony of the elite. Amid the blooming rose garden, Monica Graves, a 45-year-old black woman, dressed in a simple gray housekeeper's uniform, sat quietly on a stone bench beside the bust of an old tycoon. Her face was calm, her eyes gazing far away, as if recalling something from long ago, something buried deep. "Get her out of my sight." The shrill voice pierced through the garden like a blade, freezing everything in place. From the grand balcony door stormed out Lydia Hawthorne, a billionaire's wife, 53, her perfectly curled blonde hair gleaming and her white silk gown flowing behind her as rage contorted her face. "What are you doing sitting there? That bench is for decoration, not for housekeepers like you to sit on." Lydia shrieked, drawing shocked glances from 3 gardeners and a nearby chauffeur. Monica stood up slowly, not rushed. She said nothing, simply brushed off her dress and gently reached for an old, worn leather bag. "You even brought your bag out here?" Lydia charged toward her, eyes bulging. "I'm calling the head of staff. You're getting fired immediately." Still silent, Monica unzipped the bag and took out a faded photograph. In it stood a young man, brown hair, kind eyes, his arm around a younger black woman, in front of the very same mansion, back when it had no gold-trimmed fences. Lydia stepped closer and snatched the photo from Monica's hands. "William," she gasped, her face twisting in disbelief. Monica looked up, her voice calm, almost chilling. "Yes, that's your husband. But when I met him, this house was nothing but a plot of dirt with a 70% mortgage loan." Silence fell, heavy like a black shroud in broad daylight. Lydia took a step back. Who are you? Don't tell me this is a threat. You're just a housemaid." Monica stared into her eyes. No anger, no pleading, just the look of someone who had been dismissed their whole life and no longer needed to explain anything. She turned and walked toward the mansion doors, where a butler stood awkwardly waiting. "I'm not stepping into your house," Monica said. "I just came to remind you of one thing. Sometimes the things inside a mansion don't actually belong to the ones living in it." What would you do if you were in Monica's shoes? Leave a comment below. I'd truly love to hear your thoughts. The sharp sound of Lydia's high heels echoed urgently across the marble floor, like the frantic heartbeat of a woman in panic. The library doors flew open. She stormed in, slamming the faded photo down onto the ebony desk at the center of the room. "Gerald," she barked at the butler, standing nearby with his head lowered. "Who is she? I want Monica Graves' full background. Everything, even before she ever stepped foot in this house." Gerald hesitated, but Lydia glared at him. "I don't pay you to protect strangers." Without arguing, the butler gave a slight nod and reached into a drawer, pulling out an old file. "You once asked us to keep a record in case of any complaints," he said quietly. Lydia snatched it from his hands. The file was thin, just a few pages. But the more she read, the darker her expression became. Monica Graves, born in 1978 in Georgia, graduated high school with honors, had worked for 3 wealthy families in Atlanta and Miami. No criminal record, no lawsuits. Became a full-time housekeeper at the Hawthorne estate in 2004, exactly 6 months before William Hawthorne's sudden breakthrough in real estate. Lydia frowned. She remembered that time well. William had just failed a high-risk investment deal, nearly losing the house. Then, out of nowhere, he bounced back with capital from an anonymous investor for the Crystal Bay Beach project. And just like that, they rose to the top. Lydia clenched her fists. No, it can't be. A sudden ring from the phone shattered the tense silence. She picked up. On the other end was Richard, the family lawyer. Lydia, I just reviewed the land records you asked for, and there's something you need to know immediately. What is it? Tell me. Palm Grove, including your mansion, was transferred 24 months ago from the Hawthorne Trust to an investment company named MG Holdings LLC, based in Delaware. MG. Lydia stammered. MG. Stand for Monica Graves, Lydia. The name hit her like a blade straight to the mind. Lydia set the phone down, her hands trembling so badly she nearly dropped it. She looked once more at the old photo. A younger Monica stood next to William. They were smiling. Not the smile of a servant and her employer, but the quiet closeness of two people who once trusted each other. She couldn't breathe. The room suddenly felt like a locked cage, growing smaller by the second. No, she can't be the owner of this house. She can't. But deep inside, Lydia knew everything was already slipping out her grasp. The next morning, Florida's sunlight streamed through the tall, spotless glass windows of the grand living room, a space that had once hosted hundreds of elite cocktail parties. But today, only 3 people were present. Monica Graves, wearing a deep plum gown, no longer in her housekeeper's uniform. William Hawthorne, silent on the sofa, still holding a half-finished glass of brandy. And Lydia, standing between them like a barrier in high heels, as if she could stop a storm from crashing down. Why are you back here? Lydia snapped, her voice unsteady. I've called security. They'll be here any minute. Monica didn't blink. She placed a dark brown leather file onto the glass table and gently slid it toward the Hawthorns. I think it's time you take another look at whose land you're actually standing on. William squinted at the file. MG Holdings, he murmured. I've heard that name before, but Monica cut in, calm and composed. It's a company I established in Delaware through an anonymous trust. I purchased this property from Hawthorne Group 2 Junes ago, with full legal consent from William himself. Lydia shrieked. William? Is that true? William said nothing. He leaned back, eyes drifting toward some distant regret. Monica opened the file and slowly flipped through the pages. Deed of property ownership. Share transfer agreement from Williams Investment Trust to MG Holdings. Bank payment receipts through the Cayman Islands. And lastly, a non-disclosure agreement bearing William Hawthorne's digital signature. This is forged, Lydia screamed, though her voice trembled. I'll sue you. I swear I will. Monica looked her directly in the eyes. You're free to sue. But remember, you're living in my house. The room fell into a heavy silence, as if the air itself had been sucked out. Then what do you want? William finally asked, his first word since Monica had entered. Monica turned to the window, gazing out at the rose garden, the very spot where she had once been ordered away like trash. I didn't want this house for its prestige, she said slowly. I wanted it because you, Lydia, taught me something, that a person's worth isn't in who they serve, but in whether they can stand up, look their oppressor in the eye, and smile. Right then, the front gate opened. A fleet of black cars slid into the driveway. Reporters, lawyers, a press delegation began stepping out. Lydia went pale. You call the media here? You're insane. Monica turned, voice soft but steady. I simply came to announce the new owner of Palm Grove. The silver microphone gave a soft pop as Monica stepped up to the podium. In front of her stood nearly 30 reporters from major news networks, cameras already rolling. Behind her, a new logo hung against a white backdrop. Palm Grove reimagined. Off to the left, Lydia Hawthorne stood frozen like a statue, eyes wide, face drained of all color. Monica scanned the crowd, meeting gazes filled with curiosity, skepticism, admiration, and even respect. She gently set a leather file down on the podium. Good morning. I'm Monica Graves. Some of you might remember me as the housekeeper who once worked at the mansion just behind us. A murmur spread through the crowd. Several camera operators adjusted their focus, zooming in on her face. But today, I'm no longer the woman who scrubs floors. Today, I am the sole legal owner of the Palm Grove estate, including all its land, the mansion, and its permanent assets. A CNN reporter raised his hand. Ms. Graves, can you confirm? Are you the individual who purchased Palm Grove through MG Holdings? Monica nodded, eyes locked on Lydia. Yes, and I bought it from the very man who once asked me to help fund his comeback nearly 20 years ago. William lowered his head, avoiding the cameras. Lydia stepped forward, voice shaky and brittle. This is a setup. She's trying to get revenge. You can't just turn a respected family into a public joke. Monica turned to face her. Her voice was soft, slow, yet as sharp as silk over steel. Mrs. Lydia, if I wanted revenge, you'd have been escorted out of that house this morning. But I didn't. I wanted to see if the woman who once told me I wasn't worthy of sitting on a stone bench could now face the truth. The crowd fell completely silent. A light ocean breeze fluttered the flags behind her, but every gaze stayed fixed on the black woman standing tall, as if facing down an entire system that once dismissed her. Monica placed a hand gently over her heart. Her tone softened. I don't hate anyone in that house, but I once wished, just once, they'd look at me as a person, not a cleaning tool forgotten after parties they couldn't remember hosting. The cameras shifted to Lydia's face, where shock had eclipsed all pretense. I'm not here today to claim victory. I'm here to prove something. You can be dismissed. You can be belittled. But never, ever let anyone define your worth. At the back of the lawn, a little African-American girl in a floral dress stood beside her mother, quietly clapping. Then a reporter joined in, and soon, the entire camera crew applauded in unison. The hashtag from made to master flashed across live broadcasts. Twitter and TikTok exploded with Monica's under 3-minute speech, a political and cultural bombshell reverberating across the nation. The scene outside the Palm Grove estate was no longer just a press conference. It had become a social earthquake. Quotes from Monica Graves flooded every social platform. Major news networks cut into live coverage, labeling it breaking news. I used to mop the floors in this house. Today, I hold the keys to its gates. Those words ignited the internet. New hashtags caught fire. Hashtag Blackmate Owner, hashtag Palm Grove Shift, hashtag Monica Moment. Inside the mansion, Lydia Hawthorne had collapsed onto the salon couch, her phone buzzing nonstop. A text from her bank assistant. Account frozen due to asset ownership dispute. Please contact legal counsel. An email from her daughter's university. Due to video evidence of discriminatory behavior recorded at Palm Grove, the scholarship status of Lydia Jr. is now under review. Lydia hissed, glaring at William as if ready to strangle him. You knew about this, didn't you? You signed the deal. You sold our land to her. William shook his head, eyes hollow. I once owed her a favor that saved this family from collapse. I just never imagined she'd come back this powerful. Outside, Monica continued speaking into the mic. I won't throw anyone out of this home. I'll give them time to leave with dignity. But starting tomorrow, Palm Grove will no longer be a sanctuary for the blindfolded elite. It will become a free training center for women like me. So they learn how to own, not just how to serve. A reporter shouted, Ms. Graves, do you plan to expand this model? Or was this just a personal victory? Monica smiled. I spent 10 years working overtime, living below the poverty line, investing every spare dollar in a land no one else valued. So no, this isn't personal. It's a wake-up call. The people you refuse to see are the very ones quietly buying back the system from behind. Lydia stumbled out the door, makeup smudged, face twisted. You won. Is that enough? You've ruined my family's reputation in front of the entire country. Monica stepped down from the podium and walked straight toward her. No bodyguards, no attorneys, just two women, one who had once bowed her head and one who had once trampled over it. I haven't ruined anyone, Monica said gently. You did that when you chose to belittle others and assume they'd never stand beside you. I didn't come for revenge today. I only came to see the look in your eyes when you realized the house you thought was your family's legacy was never truly yours to begin with. The cameras caught Monica stepping away from the podium as thunderous applause filled the air. Not for a real estate acquisition, but for a silent revolution carried out with grace, purpose, and unshakable dignity. 3 months later, the Palm Grove estate was no longer a symbol of privilege. It had become an education center for women of color and immigrant workers who once lived in the shadows of the wealthy. A new sign now hung at the front gates. The Graves Institute, where dignity begins. Inside, Monica Graves stood at the front of a classroom, addressing her first group of students, former nannies, cooks, nurses, and janitors. They weren't there to learn how to serve. They were there to learn how to own. Meanwhile, Lydia Hawthorne lived in quiet exile in a small rented apartment in northern Florida. Her contracts had vanished. Friends stopped calling. Her name became a running punchline, the lady who lost her seat. William, after silently signing the divorce papers, began working in charity consulting, slowly rebuilding his faith in kindness. One afternoon, Monica sat alone in the old rose garden, the same spot she had once been kicked out of for sitting on a stone bench. A gentle breeze stirred the air. The scent of roses lingered. She thought I was just the woman who cleaned floors, Monica whispered, her hand brushing the smooth surface of the old stone table. But I knew exactly what I was cleaning, not dust, but the arrogance cemented into bricks of injustice. And as the golden light of sunset spread across Palm Grove, the woman smiled. Not because she had won, but because she knew dignity cannot be stripped from you if you never gave it away. Thank you for listening.